Okay, so you've got a job interview, but you don't have much time to prepare. So I'll make this quick. I'm gonna give you all the steps you need to follow to prepare, as well as someone who had 2 weeks to prepare for this job interview, because we're gonna make it precise. You're gonna know exactly what you're doing. Let's do this. And just so I have some context, take a second below to let me know in the comments, what's the shortest amount of time someone has ever given you to prepare for a job interview? I'd love to hear. Now, there are a lot of steps you can take in preparing for a job interview, but I've boiled it down to just the 3 most important steps. The first of which is predicting what questions are going to come up in the interview. The second is preparing some stories to answer those questions that are going to come up. And the third is preparing some questions to ask back to the interviewers to inform a thoughtful conversation and show them you're serious about this job. Now, each one of those steps is going to take anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that now so that you are off and running and prepared for this interview in 20 minutes or less. Okay, so the first step is predicting what questions that they're going to ask us during the interview. Now, even if we can't nail the questions word for word, this is a very important exercise in getting us to think about the things they're going to be judging us on so that we can show them we're good at the things that are important to them. Now, this is also helpful in helping us get stories ready that we can tell them that are going to be helpful and showing them that we have the skills that they need from us, whether they're asking the exact questions we prepared or not. So the way we're going to predict what questions are going to come up in the interview, we're going to take a quick read through of the job posting. Based on the job posting, we are going to pull out the 5 to 10 most important skills that they are looking for in the person they're hiring. These will be easy to find because they'll be talking about them a lot. Then we are going to rephrase those skills into questions using the tell us about a time method. So if they're asking about budgeting in the job posting, the question might be, can you tell us about a time that you've managed a budget? Now, a bonus step, once you've got your list of questions, if there's anything else that you think that they might be asking about based on your past experience in interviews, you can add that to the list as well. Okay, so the second step, now that we've predicted a list of questions, we want to prepare some stories we can use to answer those questions. All we're going to do is under each of the questions that we wrote, we're going to add a couple of little notes that give us enough detail that we can remember what we're going to talk about if they ask. So in this case, if they're asking about a time that we managed a budget, we just might make a note that says, managed $45 million budget when driving X company towards operational success. If you do that for each of the questions on your list, you are going to be well prepared to give them real-life, tangible stories that show them you have the skills they're looking for, and that is also something we can do in just a couple of minutes. Now, I'm about to share some of my best questions that I recommend you ask the interviewers at the end of the interview to put them in a good mood and impress them and set yourself up for success. But first, my friends, it would mean a huge amount to me if you'd take a second to like the video and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of my great upcoming job search videos here on YouTube, and to help me get my advice out to as many people as possible. Okay, so the third essential step in preparing for a job interview when we don't have a lot of time is just preparing some questions that we want to ask the interviewers. Now, I'm going to give you my best questions so that you don't even have to spend any time coming up with your own. You can just use these. Number 1, I recommend asking, what has been your proudest moment working here? Number 2, this is a 2-part question. If this is a new position, what was the goal of this position when you created it? And if it is an existing position, is there anything I can learn from the person who did this job previously to help me perform better? Question number 3, what would a successful first 90 days in this role look like? Question 4, what does the professional development structure look like here? And question 5, and this is for the bold, is there anything about my candidacy that you're uncertain about that I could speak to make you more comfortable advancing me in the interview process? Now, if you have any other questions that you've liked to ask in the past, or you think you need to know the answers to help you decide if you want this job, you can add those here as well. And for a full rundown on how to build customized, thoughtful questions that are really going to impress the hiring managers, check out my other videos. I've got one here that I just put together a couple weeks ago that really goes deep on the best ways to ask questions during a job interview. But I know we don't have a ton of time in this situation, so feel free to just use those I listed just now. And finally, if you have any time left over after running through this process to prepare for your job interview, I'd highly recommend, in fact, I'm pleading, practice answering your questions out loud. People who practice answering their questions in advance of the interview always do better than those who are just winging it or trying to sound natural. Trust me, having prepared answers always sounds better. It helps you get a better point across, you sound more composed, I'd highly recommend practicing as much as you can before the interview. Now, for more great resume advice, cover letter advice, LinkedIn, and of course, job interviews, check out all the great other videos here on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.